I feel like church music is in like a. Church music is such a weird place right now where it's like I don't know. I feel like it's not like full expression of like
I agree.
what I would do. But yeah,
On that gig, you're like leading and playing
was it a
and MDing,
yeah?
and you're kind of like doing the. You're not like a stage manager, but you are like. It does seem like you're like, okay, now you go. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of
Did you
that
do a
too.
Sunday or was it a
It was like
Friday night
it
thing?
was like a Friday night
Oh
thing.
yeah, those were kind of loose.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
those are more chill. Yeah, like on those nights I feel like I'm doing a lot more.
It
But
seemed like
yeah,
it.
I mean, yeah. So what did you think like when you heard me? Because that's been a long time since when we played that game.
Yeah, no, it was that the only thing I remember from the only thing I remember from that gig was thinking like, damn, he's doing a lot. Like, it just felt like I wasn't even thinking about like
I think
what is he
anytime I go, I
playing.
think anytime somebody comes to church and they see me, they're like, "Man, what's his job?
He's
Like,
he's,
what is
he's
his
working
actual
hard.
job description?"
That's funny. Because every music job is very different. Like
Yep.
there's not like a music job that's similar to another music job. Like
Yeah.
and even if you're not in charge, even if you're not doing any of the production at all
Yeah.
and you're just playing, you're like the gig to gig is different. Even
Yeah,
every
for
church
sure.
gig is like super
Yeah.
different. So every artist gig is different. It's all different. So I always like to I like to talk to people about like
Yeah.
I like to hear about just what are you thinking about right now when you're
Yeah,
playing?
I think the biggest things that I'm thinking about one going into 2025 is I mean I'm the music director at that church
Right.
Zoe Center, and so really just trying to like upgrade a lot of the music stuff. But I think like for the most part, like we have good players and stuff like that. It's really just upgrading like all the tracks world, but then also
Yeah.
upgrading, which I feel like we took a really big leap this year with like all the stuff
Nice.
that we've been doing on that. But I think the next step is like the keys rig and like possibly a second keys rig and just figuring out everything that looks like. So I think that for me, like a lot of things I'm thinking about is twofold. One is like technology, like how do I want to set up my rig? How do I want it to work in the context? Because like obviously like you have like a ideal situation, but then you also have the situation that you have.
Yeah,
So
right.
like how do you make those balance those two? But I mean I think the other thing that I'm thinking a lot about is like I forgot.
Yeah, so
It's like like arrangements, like how we were
we were
talking
talking about
about.
that, right?
It's like okay, like next year trying to arrange a lot more during for like, these services and not just like, hey, we're gonna do this song, this song, this song, and but like have like
Yeah.
because I'm like kind of involved on multiple. I'm not just a music director. I'm really involved on like the deeper level with like the music, and I'm in all the meetings. And like, oh, what is the pastor doing like
Yeah.
week to week, and I kind of know the schedule for the whole next year, and so like it's kind of like our job to figure out like how to make music work with that. And so like for me, I would at least want to challenge myself to do like a lot of arrangements next year.
Are you trying to solve a problem or
Yeah,
is it a creative thing?
well, I think one is like I had this. I mean, this is kind of like more of a like Christian, not Christian, but like Bible thing that I kind of had a revelation about. But we could come to that if you want to. But I think more than that, well, not more, but just on that same path, I we have a very short amount of time. Like we usually have like 13 to like 17 minutes for worship.
Oh wow.
So it's like
That's shorter than
yeah, it's
the
like
last
not
Sunday that
even
I
three.
played.
It's not even three. Like we'll have like that first set, and then we'll have like what they call like the special at the end,
Yeah.
like before the sermon. So I've just been
Crazy.
trying to figure out like how do we maximize that time, and to me, it's not been like just do one song and then another song and then out. Like that's fine, but then after
Yeah.
a while, it's like, well, what makes this place different than every other
Yeah.
place? You know what I mean?
What's crazy too, I didn't even think about that until you said this, is the now that I'm back in town, I'm like playing at
Yeah,
more churches,
yeah,
and a lot of them are doing like 2-1,
yeah,
where I feel like it used to be 3 and like a half,
yeah.
or like honestly 3-1. I feel like
3-1, 3-1. Yeah,
everybody's shortening their
yeah.
services, which is kind of wild.
I mean, I guess at least for the it's like you have those mix of like the black churches and the white churches. Like if you just like a normal white, like a white, CCM type style church,
Yeah.
and not even white, just say CCM style church. Everything is on track.
Right.
So like the whole thing is when it's going to start and when it's going to end. But as we're trying to, and that's where the creativity comes in with what a lot of things I'm thinking about with the band is like as we're having the mix of like gospel and CCM, how do we like keep the things that are important about gospel music,
Right.
take some of these things that we love about CCM music, put them together, and a big part of that is like time, like stretching, like how do we go off the tracks and into something else, and but
Yeah.
everything still sound full.
Also, one thing that's kind of interesting is that, like, at least in like those kind of charismatic churches, every one of them that I've ever played in,
Yeah.
the way that you express and explore, if you're there like every Sunday,
Yeah.
it's normally not going to be like elaborate arrangements.
Right.
Even though that's like the trope.
Yeah.
It's like gospel music,
Yeah.
busy arrangement, whatever. But really, it's like, okay, well, you have like 45 minutes to do. So then you stretch.
Yeah.
And that's the part where like most of the expression comes in. It's
Yeah.
normally not as like heavily arranged as
Yeah.
I feel like most people would think who aren't a part of that world. But
Yeah.
so it's kind of interesting, like, yeah, to consider when you take that one thing away, yeah, how then do you continue to represent gospel music?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where everybody's trying to figure out because we've hit the wall of like using tracks and everything. It's like you don't necessarily want to take them away, but how do we incorporate them?
It's part of the sound now.
Yeah, it's a part of it, and like how do we use it?
Yeah.
And there are things that are cool about it. You know, what I mean? Having someone in your in your ears being like, chorus 2, 3,
Totally.
4, it's still helpful for the first half of the song. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
for
Especially
sure.
if you like don't have rehearsals and like having something to practice with that's going to be consistent throughout the week
Yeah.
only makes everything better.
So then for you, it's a little creative and a little spiritual. Is there any part of the arrangement of thinking about like, okay, I want to do more arranging? Is there any part of that that's trying to solve like a problem?
Well, I think the problem is that there is not we don't have a lot of time, and so like you never really get into a flow.
Oh, so it's to like
I think
move the energy,
I think it's
whatever. You know what
at
I'm
least
trying to
for
say.
me creatively, I would like for it to just be 17 full minutes of a
Of
thing
music.
of music as opposed to like 7 stop,
Yeah.
restart up, and then we
Yeah.
get 5 in and then we got to cut it
I feel that.
as opposed to it feeling like a whole thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm kind of
So then the
thinking about.
interesting thing is I feel like, worship leaders, they like to get
Yeah.
the little thing in,
Yeah.
like in between the songs. Then it's like, okay, well, where do you put that then? Do you put it in the middle of a song? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean, I feel like I think that's the part of like the whole thing is like obviously back in the day, like gospel music, the big thing was like we didn't have tracks, so we had loops.
Yeah.
So that's like heavily back. I mean, it's not like it ever went anywhere, but it's like
Yeah.
that's back part of being the focus. We have like a pad going at all times. Like, like this is gonna be a bad pad, but like you just have like this pad going the whole time. So it's like you always have that, and the piano can always like, and then they can talk as much as they want.
Yeah.
Start the tracks whenever they come in.
Yeah.
Type situation.
Dude, something I've been thinking about with that specific spot in music in general is having something completely different right there.
Yeah.
Like, if it's like, if the first song is like, Black Baduko, bam, you wash,
Yeah.
it's too loud, sorry. So blam, you wash, and then doing while it's somebody's talking, and then when it ends, and then the new song starts.
Yeah.
So like having like a
Like Yeah, like built-in transitions,
Yeah, but
but not
it's
like,
treating it more of an interlude, less of a transition.
oh yeah, like interlude.
Yeah, like an album interlude, I
I like
guess.
that.
Is that yeah?
You know who
I tried to
plays.
do it once and it felt really flat, but I think that was because of the people I was working with.
Honestly, Upper Room does a really cool job. Like if you listen to Upper Room stuff, they obviously still sound like CCM,
Sure.
but when you listen to them, like their musicians like can like actually play, and they use different sounds. Like
Nice.
bass uses like different weird sounds. Keys always has like really weird sounds.
Yeah.
They use tracks in an interesting way,
Nice. That's
but
cool.
it's like very CCM. It's not like Transformation or
Yeah.
like where it's like a big mix. It's like so I think it's cool, and they get into like really. It's like the evolution of like the charismatic like old charismatic where they would just like get weird and do stuff, but they like are weird with the music,
That's
and it's
cool.
like they get like super.
That's what I'm saying.
They always call it like swirly.
Swirly.
Yeah,
That's a good way to describe it. I like the thing that I've been calling most of the time.
like doing that in a service would be cool.
That's what I'm saying. But then
Yeah.
calling like the thing that I've like my go to right now is like because everything's so like bright and guitar-y now.
Right.
If it's up tempo, it's bright and guitar.
Yeah.
So the big thing that I've been doing lately is I'll start a new progression, completely new tempo, has nothing to do with either song.
Yeah.
Just on bass. Or I'll have communicated that prior that somebody else should. And then electric piano, like
Yeah.
something that absolutely will not be in the next song.
Yeah.
Like I don't even like calling Rhodes there
Yeah.
because I feel like I hear Rhodes.
Yeah.
Like something that really feels like a very big scene change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That and then like almost no guitar or swells, no acoustic guitar, like nothing bright.
Yeah.
The thing that I've been going for with it is like mega mood change.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I agree with what you said. It's the same. I think that maybe I've been unintentionally trying to do the same thing, which is like not let it die all the way down.
Yeah.
But also not let it. Like I'm fine with people just playing like whatever is about to happen in the next
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
But there's something about that like doesn't. It feels cheap. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody's trying to. I don't know if
Yeah.
they're trying to figure it out. I literally don't think everybody's trying. Let me take that back. I don't think everybody's trying to figure that out. But I do think that. The musicians, like the good musicians in gospel and Christian music, are not just choppy now.
Yeah. Of course.
So like
I
the
totally
good
agree.
musicians are people that like do arrangements well, that have good sounds,
Yeah.
that like do all that stuff. And so like now we're starting to get more creative
Yeah.
in that whole type of thing.
As much as as easy it is to just like take a big dump on like the whole like like producer generation
Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
everybody's a producer, everybody makes their own beats. The cool part is it feels like everybody's way more arrangement aware.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're way more like writing aware, and so they
Yeah.
approach it more that way, which is very
Yeah.
cool. I feel like that was you weren't gonna come by those people easily
No.
15 years ago.
Yeah, and you really can't even be an MD at a church, like a contemporary church, if you're not thinking that way.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
like
And
you
now the
just-
best singers think that way.
Nobody even wants you to hear nobody even wants you to like shout, like push. Nobody
Nah,
wants
dude,
any of that
nobody
stuff.
wants to do that.
Nobody needs to. You don't need to like have a bunch of bump. You don't need to have a bunch of shout tracks on deck. You don't need to do any of that stuff because
Yeah.
that's like not really a thing. Like if you don't have like really really good pads, like and
Oh.
levels of pads and all that stuff, it's like, bro, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
That's just like the sound now,
yeah.
which I like.
So that's part of what I'm doing. The other part of the things I'm doing is I toured this artist named Kelly James, and so basically I'm like running tracks for him. But his thing is like all the sections of his song could come at any moment, basically. So we had to
kinda tricky, too.
we had to figure out a way to do tracks, but I could go to any section at any time. Right, a lot of it is just me knowing the set and playing it for the couple of years and change that I've done it with him. But it's really just figuring out a system like how can the computer react like as I would react as a keyboard player.
Yeah.
And so that's been.
So
that's
what's
been
been where are you guys at in that process right now? Like what's because I remember at one time you and I had talked about this and in that discussion like ideas of like foot MIDI controller things,
Yeah.
like getting third party apps involved
Yeah.
in like Ableton and stuff, but where did you guys land? What's worked?
Yeah, so what we ended up doing was we have a Stream Deck like the.
Yep.
So we have a Stream Deck, and that's how I trigger like all the sections in each song.
What Stream Deck are you using, or how many pads does it have?
It's like 32.
32. Okay, so you got like the
32.
big one.
Yeah, it's like the big one. And so like literally, it's like attached to my board. Like we use a Nord. It's attached to the Nord there, and I have a page for every song.
Yeah. For people who don't know who are watching this, Stream Decks they're MIDI controllers, but they're not just MIDI controllers. You can assign any button on any page to do anything at all.
Yeah.
So it's it's pretty intuitive, honestly.
It is.
It's not very complicated.
Yeah.
But the good thing of the pages part is the best part.
The pages thing, well, yeah, I mean, but all that stuff has to be programmed.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, right now we have like 13-ish songs on it, and that's kind of like maxed out of that Stream Deck without like doing another. I can't remember exactly, but like,
Interesting.
yeah, it's kind of difficult. But I've gotten it to the point where everybody on stage knows when there's going to be tracks, when there's not going to be tracks, and in those moments where I got to fill in, which there are a lot of live moments that happen, there are a lot of like improvisatory moments that happen.
Yeah.
Like I have a drum pad over here.
Oh,
so
nice.
I've been like really working on playing like kick to the.
Nice.
I've been really working on that, like, and then like lately I've been trying to challenge myself to do like the. It's really difficult to do. So I've been doing that. Drum pad. What else do I have over there? And I have like a whole mixer for all the tracks and stuff like that.
Oh, really? Because you fade in and out tracks?
Because I have the stems that I can take in. So if we're like doing bass and he's like break it down, I could just like take bass out
Nice.
or like filter it out.
That's cool. Yeah.
All that stuff. So I can do that for drums, bass, guitars, keyboards,
Yeah.
vocals,
Nice.
master.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then you guys are running.
And I have like a sub 37 on the top.
Oh,
and
nice.
then
Oh, for
running
bass.
Ableton with AbleSet, and so that's how I
Gotcha.
monitor every section, know like where I'm going.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are
So
you
that's
using-
been interesting.
Are you using stage 3 or stage 4?
Stage 3.
Stage 3.
Yeah.
Nice. Dude, it's hanging on.
Yeah, no, it's a classic
Yeah,
board now.
yeah,
bro.
it is.
It's like a